While I was reading Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, I was impressed by the effect of nurture on, in the book, the creature, and by extension, all children. It's quite a harsh lesson that she depicts. I know that nature, genetics, DNA, plays a part in this too, what we call hardwiring. It's very clear that from birth, children are very different and distinct in their character and behavior, as they are in height, hair color, and skin pigmentation. There's no argument about that. But nurture, the software, is in there too. Nurture, or the total lack of it, makes a monster of the creature. And the thought that this could happen to an equal extent to a human child is what is bothering me today. While I was thinking about this, I was also thinking about rainbows, and rainbows took me to Isaac Newton, who wrote a book on optics. He did a lot of work with prisms, made his own little rainbows, as it were. And I decided to check out Newton's famous laws of motion, which he wrote up in his Principia Mathematica in 1686. He'd been working on this, beginning with his investigation into the pull of gravity, since 1666, when he left London to escape the deadly plague. A law of nature means that we have discovered a way that nature behaves and will invariably do so every time and in all circumstances. But it is really realizing the way that matter behaves, and what I'm wondering is whether or not we might extend such laws to cover the behavior of human beings too. Not exactly quantify such behavior, but to better understand why people do what they do. So here are Newton's 3 laws of motion. The first says that every object persists in its state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line, unless it is compelled to change that state by forces impressed upon it. This is usually considered to be a definition of what we call inertia. The second law says that force is equal to the change in momentum, which is mass times velocity, per change in time. For a constant mass, force equals mass times acceleration. Newton developed his calculus to calculate these changes. The third law is, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. I think if someone took these 3 laws and considered force to be the parental or guiding factor, and the mass to be the child, and motion to be behavior, some kind of understanding or predictions would result. Charles Dickens wrote about orphans impinged by forces, harshly depicting the English social system and its judicial system in doing so. But this attempt is complicated by another factor built into each human being. As Lenny Bruce observed, people believe what they believe, and it's not a simple, rational process. He took the example of the Kennedy-Nixon debates. Voters who favored Nixon thought he won decisively. Kennedy supporters were certain that he was the victor. What was the truth? The truth for each person depended on what they believed. This can have an extreme, very unscientific effect. Locally, a white cop shot a black man and killed him. The cop has been tried for murder twice with 2 hung juries. The people who think he's guilty are convinced of that. And those who believe he's innocent are sure of it, no doubt at all. I think about the complex forces which shaped those 2 individuals and led them to intersect in this fatal instance, which began as a stop for not having a front license plate. The victim was shot in a car that did not belong to him. He did not comply when asked to step out of the car. Instead, he started the engine and put the car in gear. He had a history of many minor violations. He had a bag of marijuana in the car, along with over $2,500 in cash. He was also the father of 13 children by 12 different women. He was shot by a university police officer, and the university settled a civil suit by giving the family $5 million, free tuition for each of the 13 children, and a promise to erect a statue to honor the man. The policeman, who panicked as the car began to pull away, says he fired his weapon because he feared for his life. What is the truth of this incident? I heard a person on the radio, a highly intelligent man, a black man, an attorney not involved in the case, say that he knew the victim and he was a good man. He was a pillar of the community and a devoted father, he said, and he meant every word of it. I don't believe there are any precise laws that would produce or explain that. We believe what we believe, and human behavior remains an elusive, frequently inexplicable trait.